My name's Daniel, and this is my garage. You know, growing up, I really had no interest in cars whatsoever. I mean, as long as it started and went from point A to point B, that's all I cared about. I didn't know anything about them other than you pushed one pedal to make it go and you pushed the other pedal to make it stop. And I really didn't know anything more than that until I bought my first sports car, 4th gen Mitsubishi Eclipse, when I was like 19. Thought it was pretty cool at the time. Didn't really dawn on me until afterwards that it was shaped like a freaking jelly bean.
That's fucking awesome.
Well, I had the 4th gen Eclipse for probably 6 months, and that's what really got me started in the car scene, was just owning that car. Fortunately, not everybody in the car scene was terribly judgmental about it and pointed out how horrible it looked. But I was over in Scottsbluff, Nebraska at the time with the car scene there. Really not much of a scene there, but there's some really good people there that I still stay in touch with and talk to all the time, even though I don't live anywhere near there anymore. I had owned my Eclipse for like 6 months, like I said, and I was talking with Cody, one of my good friends over there, who owns a couple of Dodge Stealth RTs, which is the sister car to the Mitsubishi 3000 GT. And I was like, yeah, you know, I really like this car. I really want to buy one of these days. He's like, all right, cool. And he sent me a list with a bunch of links for various forum listings for 3000 GTs. The next day, I called him up, hey, I'm going 7 hours over to Omaha to buy one of these. You want to come with? He's like, are you serious? How impulsive are you? So we loaded up in this crappy little Jeep Cherokee I had at the time that was spewing oil all over the place. Drove it to the ground to Omaha, sold it to a used car lot there, bought this 3000 GT and drove it back. And that was my first real sports car. I don't even consider the Mitsubishi Eclipse 4th gen a real sports car at this point.
So is this the 3000 GT that you bought at Nebraska?
Yes, this is definitely it sitting behind me right now. Doesn't look anything like it did back then. I've done so much work to it. When I first bought it, it was plain white. It had different shades of white on the doors and on the body panels. It looked pretty obnoxious. And it had a flat spoiler. And I was going to keep it that way for a while, eventually repaint it. But 4 days after I bought it, I was trying to drive home in the middle of a blizzard, doing like 30 miles an hour on the freeway. Even going that slow, I slid sideways, went under a semi, and he basically ran over my back end. Did a bunch of damage on the back end, bounced me around a little bit, damaged the front end too. And that is when I met Dave over at DZ Auto Shop in Torrington, Wyoming. He helped me out a lot in that matter. He let me keep the car there in his shop for about 3 months. I'd go over there and work on it once I got off my own job, come in on the weekends, work on it. Just sanding it down, fixing all the damage, prepping it to repaint.
So you took this busted ass semi 3000 GT and turned it into what it is today.
Yeah, it was definitely totaled. I mean, I got my insurance check for it. It was like 6-7 grand. The buyback on it, $300 for a running car that just had a bunch of body damage. They had no idea what this thing was worth. So I definitely bought it back, kept working on it.
So after it was done, what ended up happening recently?
Well, I drove that thing for a while, and it was definitely my baby. Probably 2 years, I did everything to personalize it and make it mine. I wanted it to look like this. Me and my buddy Cody in Scottsbluff with the Dodge Stealth did all the powder coating on the engine bay to make it match. I matched the interior. I mounted a bunch of stuff in there that I wanted, just because that's exactly what I wanted for my car. And then about a month and a half ago, I was on my way to work, and I was going 65 one way, this other guy was going 65 the other way. He drifted all the way over into my lane, and I dodged out of the way. I was almost off the road, but he still sideswiped me, and he totaled it again. And the damage this time is much worse just because of where it is. Last time it was just on removable body panels. This time it's on the fenders themselves. So I pretty much said, screw it, I'm going to go ahead and part it out and move on to bigger and better things.
On to bigger and better things. What did you pick up in LA?
I had just gotten back from the Middle East on a security mission I did over there. And I had money, I was ready to spend it, and I wanted a Supra so bad. I had Supras on the mind. And I was doing searches everywhere. Craigslist, Search Tempest, eBay, Auto Trader, Cars.com, everything. And most of the ones I found that I really wanted were in California somewhere. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna go to California and I'm gonna find a Supra. Now, one of my buddies that I had made from the Scottsbluff car scene, really good buddy named Danny, was originally from East LA. So I talked with him. I was like, hey man, let's go out there. He drove me out there. We stayed at his parents' house for about a week, just chilling there, going out Supra shopping every day, having a blast. It was really good just being able to see the car scene in LA. Their meets there were insane. I'd show up on a random Wednesday night and there'd be hundreds of cars all over the place. I did look at a few Supras there, but everything I found was something that I didn't quite want. I wanted it to be exactly what I wanted, and I didn't find what I was looking for there. But I still wanted a fast car, so I just happened to see this 2003 Lancer Evolution on Craigslist. Talked with the guy, came and test drove it, which was funny as hell by itself. Out here, if you want to test drive a car, you've got all these nice highways you can go out on, you can zoom around a little bit, have fun. In East Los Angeles, not so much. You've got crowded freeways, you've got to do your pulls with cars all around you. And I've been driving for about 5 minutes before the guy was like, oh, by the way, I don't have insurance on the car, so I don't get pulled over. I was like, alright, thanks man. The thing was fast as hell though. I loved it, I bought it, drove it back here. Really haven't done anything with it since, just been driving it, keeping it how it is. Got 390 horse on the ground and I am pretty happy with it. Right now, I've only owned this car for about a week, and so far I love it. I mean, I've wanted one of these things for years. In fact, probably as long as I've known you, I've wanted one of these cars. Like I said, that's originally what I was after when I went out to Los Angeles, and it just kind of happened. I mean, I did have a Trans Am for a little while that I bought off my buddy Mike, mostly to help him out, just because he needed a little fast cash to buy his C5 Z06 Corvette. But I also made a little money reselling it, and that just happened to be right at the right time when I found this thing on Craigslist. Army guy was selling it down in Fort Carson, Colorado. So I hit him up, talked with him one day, went down to the bank the next day, got a loan for the rest of what I needed, drove down there to pick it up. It was kind of funny because we rolled up in the Evo, and he came outside as soon as we drove past saying, yeah, I thought I heard something interesting driving past. Went out to meet us. And this thing is amazing. I mean, it's exactly what I wanted. Twin turbo, target top. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely expect I'll have it around for a long, long time to come.
Now, what are you gonna do with it? Like, are you gonna show it? Are you gonna race it? What kind of racing are you gonna do with it?
You know, I'm not really sure what I have planned for it right now. I'm still just kind of in shock that I even own it. I'm probably going to repaint it at some point. Might stay with the black. Might get creative like I did with the 3000 GT, just not quite as flashy, do something else. Might wind up upgrading the turbos eventually, going to a single turbo setup, seeing what else I can do with it, make a little bit more power. Racing, probably not. I don't want to beat the car up too much. I really want to make sure that it lasts and stays around for a while just so I can drive it around and enjoy it. I'm definitely not going to be one of the people who buys a Supra and just sticks it in the garage for 364 days out of the year, drives it on the one day, and they're like, alright, it's 66 degrees, partially cloudy, a little bit sunny, it's nice enough for me to take it out. There are no other circumstances under which this car will leave the garage. No. If I buy a car, I'm going to drive it, and that's exactly what I intend on doing with this.
So your cars have one thing in common. They're all Japanese. They're all JDM. Why Japanese cars?
You know, I can't even pinpoint one specific thing that makes me like JDM more than anything else. It's just always kind of appealed to me. I think it's the looks, the drivability. It's not that I dislike the domestics, it's just that I like JDM a lot more. And I'm not one of the JDM fans or the tuners who will point out every American car and say, oh, that's a piece of crap. I mean, I have a healthy respect for pretty much anything that's fast and can hold power. If I see a Boss 302 drive by, I will point it out just as fast as I will point out a high-end JDM car going by. But there's just something about JDM in particular that's always kind of appealed to me. And it might be the economy. I mean, my 3000 GT, for example, that's a twin-turbo V6 with over 400 horse on the ground. I'm still getting 30 miles a gallon out of that thing on the highway. I just think that it comes down to a very good combination of good performance and good economy.
All right, well, thanks for answering all of our questions. I just got one more for you.
What's that?
I don't know, was this all worth it? Was this whole car community worth it?
Definitely. I have met so many amazing people that I still talk with, even if it's not about cars anymore. Just great friends that I like to hang out with. I think that what makes the car culture is the people in it. There's just so many awesome people. I'm sure that I'll meet more, and I look forward to it. In fact, there's a coworker of mine who gave me a quote that I always think about. He said, "You can live in your car, but you can't race your house." That's all.
Thanks for saying bye, Dick.
I like that!
All right.
So I banged prostitutes and blew all my money, didn't buy one, and came back.
He's got a flappy hood.
Bitches love the flappiness.
You have me facing, you were facing